Hi there, I'm Phil Ramsey, author of Billibonk and the Bugs. The book is part of the Billibonk series, which aims to help readers, especially children, to learn about complex systems. This video is for parents. I hope it will give you some ideas for things you can talk about or do with your child. It's easy to get focused on details and miss seeing a bigger picture. In the Billibonk series, the main characters, Billibonk and Frankl, keep having to look up from what is immediately in front of them and try to understand what's really going on, what needs to be done to get the results that they want. I'm assuming that you have read the book and that you know that Billibonk and the other elephants have a problem with itching. Well, how do you fix an itch? Some elephants just want to blame Billibonk. It's a natural reaction many of us have, thinking that if we find who to blame, then a problem will just disappear. The monkeys come up with a different approach. They come up with a short-term fix. They concoct a lotion. It gives some relief, but doesn't really solve the problem. To get to a real solution, Frankl and Billibonk have to learn to deal with what systems thinkers call balancing processes. These are a basic component of many systems. You'll see them anywhere there is something that needs to be kept in balance, where a standard needs to be met or a goal needs to be achieved. In this video, I'll explain a little bit about balancing processes along with an example from the story. And I'll go into some depth about a common way that balancing processes can mess things up for us, a larger pattern we call shifting the burden. Let's start by talking about balance. Say that I have a problem and it's growing. I don't want problems in my life, so this growing problem is putting my life out of balance. As the problem grows, I'm going to do something about it. The more of a problem I have, the more action I take. The more action to fix whatever's wrong, well, the problem starts to go away. If there's no problem, I stop taking action. Things are back in balance, at least for the moment. But maybe because I've stopped taking action, the problem starts to come back. I start taking action again. This is what balance is all about. On a causal loop diagram, it will look like this. I have a standard, what I want. But what I've got doesn't measure up to that standard. The gap between what I want and what I've got, well, that's a problem for me. As that gap or problem gets bigger, well, that moves me into action. The action changes what I've got, so the gap closes. When that happens, I stop feeling that I have to act. That's the basic structure of a balancing process. Here's an example from the book. In the story, Billibonk and Frankl are able to come up with a chick hatching scheme based on their understanding of how this process works. Bugbirds want to have a nest with eggs in it. So if they don't have one, well, there's a gap between what they want and what they've got. And they get busy with nest building and egg laying. Once they have a nest and eggs, the gap is closed and they won't produce any more eggs. Billibonk and Frankl realise that if they want the bugbird population to grow, they need more eggs being laid, more chicks being hatched. What can they do? Well, they have to keep reopening the gap. Each time eggs are laid, well, they give those eggs to other birds, foster birds, and then they destroy the nest. The bugbirds no longer have what they want, so they get busy once again with more nest building, more egg laying. By the way, the idea for the scheme came from conservation efforts in my home country of New Zealand. The New Zealand black robin, at one time it was the most endangered bird in the world, with only one mature female. New Zealand's Wildlife Service used a chick hatching scheme like this one to keep Old Blue, that was the name of the female black robin, to keep her producing eggs, which were then fostered out to other bird species. Finding out about the black robin and similar conservation efforts could be something you'll enjoy doing with your child. And you could also see how many other balancing processes you can think of together. A good place to start? Well, your body has all sorts of processes designed to keep things in balance. from your body temperature to getting enough food, getting enough water. Billibonk and the Bugs is really a story about balancing processes. Let's turn our attention to the shifting the burden pattern. This pattern involves an important distinction that your child can learn, the difference between a problem and a symptom. In the story, the elephants were itchy. That itch was a symptom of some underlying problem. It took Billibonk and Frankl a while to work out that the real problem was too many bugs. So the solution was to get more birds to eat the bugs. Let's clarify. A symptom is what tells you there is a problem. It's how you feel the problem. You can see with what happened in the story, it can take some time to work out what the real problem is and come up with a solution that is going to be lasting. Now, if we don't know the difference between a problem and a symptom, we can be tempted to just make the symptom go away. And that's what happened with the monkey lotion idea. It was a quick fix. The lotion stopped the itching. In the diagram, you can see two options, both of which are balancing processes. The elephants could bring the itching problem into balance with a quick fix, the top loop, or with a slower process, the bottom loop, a process that would get to the real problem. The thing with a quick fix is that it works, but then the problem is going to come back. The bugs are still there, even though the itching has stopped. So as soon as the lotion wears off, well, the bugs get busy and the elephants are itchy again. This is an important lesson. If our solutions only address symptoms, problems keep coming back. And there's more to it than that. Often when people take a quick fix approach, well, there's a side effect. In this case, the itching stops, so the elephants think our problem is fixed. We don't have to do anything more. Now, if that's what they believe, then they are not going to be interested in working on the real solution. What's the point of going to all that trouble if the monkey lotion works? So this side effect adds something really dangerous to the system, what we could call a vicious reinforcing loop. Where balancing processes bring things back into balance, reinforcing processes make things either keep growing or keep shrinking. Let's talk about the reinforcing loop in the diagram, shown with the larger arrows. The elephants have a real problem with bugs, and that causes them to feel itchy. Their itching, of course, is a symptom, and they find it goes away when they use the monkey lotion. When the itching goes away, they experience the side effect, their belief that our problem is fixed. What effect will that have on their efforts to find a real solution? Well, likely they will lose their motivation. Their efforts will shrink. The more they think it's fixed, the less they can be bothered doing anything else. And if they don't find a real solution, the real problem keeps growing. They have more bugs, which means more itching, and more monkey lotion. Each time they go around that loop, the more it becomes an ingrained habit. It takes real effort to break out of the habit. Why? Well, because the quick fix actually does work, but only for a short time. Why not make this a topic for conversation in your family? What are some examples where you've seen people get into the habit of using quick fix solutions to symptoms instead of digging deeper to find real solutions? A part of that conversation could be about the qualities that Billibonk and Frankl needed in order to stick with their scheme, to make it work. Remember, the quick fix is so appealing because it is quick, and then it becomes an ingrained habit for everyone involved. A real solution takes time. First of all, there's the time needed to understand what's going on, and then it takes more time to make a solution work. All of this wasn't easy for Billibonk and Frankl, but it was very satisfying for them. What kind of qualities did they show that your child admires? I hope you and your child enjoyed reading Billibonk and the Bugs, and I hope you enjoy conversations together that help you to see similar patterns in the world around you. Happy learning.